we've got tonight a lot of unknowns. We got the Eagles -3 at the Seahawks at BetMGM, of course. We've got the Eagles at -120 here. Proppy, I'm going to start with you. This is your team. Eagles have to go. It's another tough game for them. I mean, the schedule makers didn't do them any favors in the middle towards the end of the season here. But it does look like Geno Smith may be out for this one. I mean, he's kind of in that sort of doubtful, questionable category right now. So he may suit up and play. Jalen Hurts, on the other hand, I don't know if you have any inside information, Proppy, but I certainly think he's going to play even with this illness. Do you like the Eagles? Do you like your guys here -3, or is this something you'd stay away from?
Yeah, fascinating spots. Yeah, obviously, if you'd have told me a couple of days ago we could be looking at Drew Lock against Marcus Mariota, that certainly is within the ranges of possibilities or potential outcomes here. I think it's unlikely. I don't think Jalen Hurts will end up missing this game due to an illness. I think he'd have to be very, very sick in order to be out. So I do like the Eagles here coming off of that game where they got absolutely throttled in Dallas. Not easy, obviously, than traveling to Seattle, who obviously has a very tough home environment. I think the Eagles are going to be up for this game. I really don't see them losing in this spot. Then you've got, behind the scenes, the Eagles have gone to Matt Patricia as their new defensive coordinator. The amount of talent that the Eagles have defensively, they've really been underperforming on that side of the football. I do think the defense will rally a bit around that. Will be without Darius Slay, though, which is going to be a big impact, really make things a bit easier for those outside perimeter wide receivers on Seattle. As far as Drew Lock is concerned, I don't think at this stage he's a significant downgrade from Geno Smith, who has not been performing that well, been very inconsistent. So I still think Seattle's going to be able to move the football, but ultimately I think the Eagles are really going to be able to take advantage of a Seattle defense that has really cratered both against the run and against the pass. I think the Eagles, this is a get-right spot for them. I do lean to their side, especially if you can get it at that 3 number.
Yeah, Maestro, I'm going to kick it to you. I mean, I think this is interesting because of what Proppy just said about Drew Lock. I do expect Drew Lock today. I mean, I just for fun, I want to put a percentage on it. I think we're looking at a 75-80% chance that Drew Lock starts here. And what's interesting about what Proppy said was, how much of a downgrade is this? And I do think Drew Lock is going to be way more turnover prone, but he did sling it last week to his bevy of receivers. How do you see this game going?
Yeah, and shout out to the chat for saying that number one, Matt Patricia is a joke, which if you look at his, tenure at the Lions, it was a joke. If you look at his tenure as an offensive coordinator in New England, that was a joke. So maybe he can do something defensively, but there is no Darius Slay. There is no Zach Cunningham, who's had double-digit tackles in 3 of his last 4 games for the Eagles. And shout out to the chat for asking about the weather. Yes, it is raining. It's going to be raining all day. It's going to be a soggy field. It's going to be Seattle weather. You can tell where I'm on. I am definitely leaning towards the very desperate home team in their element. And because you said it, Drew Lock may not be much of a downgrade from Geno Smith injured. Now, if it was Geno Smith healthy like he was against the Cowboys, for sure, that's an upgrade. But he didn't look healthy the other games, and he didn't play well. And on the other side, Jalen Hurts probably going to play through the flu, but we saw what happened when Patrick Mahomes tried to play through the flu. It didn't go well in Denver.
Fair enough. And Danny, I kick it to you here. There's a lot of people in the chat that they have opinions, and I love it. We have Seattle is going to win. We have, let's see, Drew Lock is horrible from 420 Parlay King. Listen, I kind of thought, full disclosure, I kind of thought, Danny, that Drew Lock was a little on the horrible side too, but I got to admit, he acted like a starter last week. He came in there and he didn't seem, and this is the Drew Lock experience, he didn't seem tentative at all. So with all of that said, is that what you're seeing from Drew Lock today if he ends up starting? And do you like Seattle +3? Do you like the total? What do you like in this one?
It's a sketchy game. I'm glad I got to go last and follow all the opinions of my colleagues here. Look at the line there, that -3 road favorite. I see the hook popping now, 3.5 now that news that it's likely Jalen Hurts will probably start. But like Larry mentioned, when we saw the flu impact Patrick Mahomes, if he's starting with a limited version of himself, I worry about that. This total is lower than you might expect with 2 secondaries that have been pretty liable, a Seattle run defense that's been a little weak here and there. So without Darius Slay and, like Larry mentioned, Zach Cunningham, which is super key as well, I cannot trust that Eagles defense. Matt Patricia is now in at defensive coordinator very quietly. Nobody heard about that move, and I wonder if schematically they can change anything. I'm not loving the spread or the side, but as of now, just based on the heebie-jeebies I'm getting, I would have to lean towards the dog and the under.
Hey, listen, based on the heebie-jeebies, that makes sense. I'll be honest with you. Like, if you went into this game knowing nothing other than the Eagles defense has been kind of exposed at least a little bit lately, still dealing with some injuries, and that Drew Lock has been somewhat competent and the game's in Seattle, just taking those surface level facts into the equation, it does seem like Seattle might be the play. I'll tell you right now, though, I'm off of that one. I was leaning towards the Eagles. I still kind of am, but I just don't think I'm going to make an official play on this game, at least with respect to the side.